leveling up, they're pretty rough. In the mid-game, speed farming, they're still really good because of Coda and Whirlwind. In the end game, they're good with Coda because of a bug, which is going to be fixed, which is going to really hurt when they lose it. But still, I'm optimistic for Bard going forward because of the way the class is structured and built. They're very tanky, they're very fast, the shouts are very powerful. And if they would just give us some damage here, I think they'll be just fine. Druid. So Druid right now, pound for pound, is one of the best classes. They're just so good. The Tornado Werewolf Druid might be the best build overall in the entire game, especially since Bone Spirit's been a good build. Thanks. Pulverize is good. Just really suffers from single target. I played that level enough. The chase for the Tempest Roar is very tough. That helmet that you need to make the werewolf build work. Now you can target farm and then hell type by farming the helm chest, which is what everyone was doing yesterday, trying to get a shackle. So they nerfed it, took that out. You should be able to target farm it a little bit easier. That will help a lot. Druids have a large amount of unstoppable, and actually they're very fast. They're like, I feel like I am them out in the dungeons. So they're currently in a very good spot, but unfortunately I think it's for really one legendary power that I just don't think is going to survive, and that's Rampaging the Werebeast. The Rampaging Werebeast is a legendary power which I believe gives you like 990 crit hit damage. There ain't no way Blizzard's going to let us keep a legendary power with this 990 crit hit damage, and it's used in a lot of builds. People are really liking the Shred build. Admittedly, I didn't play it. I've seen it. People really love it, so that's another alternative. The Bulwark build is going away. People always ask me about that. It just makes me roll my eyes. It's going away. Yes, it's unkillable, and it can clear Nightmare Dungeon 100, but I'm not here for these broken-ass builds that are going to be fixed already. I'm actually surprised that Bulwark has survived this far. I'm a little worried about Druid's damage once they lose Rampage and Werebeast. The Blizzard is going to fix it. If you don't fix it, then Druids are going to be pumping for a long time. But anyway, it seems like more attention has been put into the Druid legendary powers and their uniques than a lot of the other classes. They make this, you start out as a human throwing tornadoes that don't have or do anything, and you finish as a werewolf using the Werebear ultimate, turning you into an ultimate werewolf that runs at the speed of light and has almost infinite resources.
Yeah, I hope you all doing good, chat.
The tornadoes that you summon home in on the enemies, and they do a bajillion damage. It's like, well, that was all made possible by this intricate connecting of legendary powers and uniques. That for a while.
Live life, never bugged with stems, flying insect like trap. Made without chemical insecticides. It attracts and traps bugs 24/7. Live life, never bugged with stem. Jurassic World.
Philosophy to me is good. Yeah, you really build like the entire structure of the character when you finally get that Tempest Roar drop, finally get that Dire Wolf drop or the Rampaging Werebeast, you put it all together, and then you make this brand new, kind of this new character. I think you did a good job there. So Druid's Fate is probably going to be good going forward, but the same designers are still working on it that built it at the start. They just have the most options. And by the way, I leveled up, I started as Tornado, and then I got the Pulverized Shockwave power at like level 30 and I switched. Both of them seem very strong. So I don't know if they'll tweak Tornado. Tornado already was the best like vanilla leveling build for Druids. But when I played it, it was actually very strong. I played it with melee skill, so Druids weren't exactly the 17 damage Druid that I remember them from the beta. I think Necros are not in a great spot. Now, the thing I hear all day long is, yeah, Bone Spear, you throw one Bone Spear with the Bone Spear, the Ricochet does like 60 million damage. Just Lilith in 60 seconds, and it just crushes the entire game, and you said Necros are the worst. got to be honest with you. I pretty much have the same opinion. Nothing changed. I have a Bone Spear in that thing. Here he is. Here's the thing. Yes, the Bone Spear has scaled out of control. Almost 99% certainty, Blizzard is going to bring it back down to earth. It's just way stronger than anything else. I would encourage you, look at the rest of the class. How is it looking? Blood Mist is the most godly ultimate skill of Uber Lilith. It's amazing. Just keep skipping the waves. It's like
Want to see how many tokens we got here?
Vulnerability. But that's your movement skill. Makes you slow, and you play the infamous build, which I think is really blown out of proportion. It's like a miasmic corpse explosion thing, right? It's I don't know. To me, it's like a very bad version of Whirlwind. You run in, you miss, spin, kill him and move on, or you can just Whirlwind, which is something to do the same thing. Or Tornado 2 doesn't. I'm not really a believer in that. Haven't seen any blood builds that appear to me. The minion builds are only like there's a frog with bone cooking, and it fix that. Minion builds are going to go way down, and the survivability is really bad. Corpse tendrils, like they released a patch note that was fixing corpse tendrils, but corpse tendrils requires a corpse. Now, the whole point of corpse tendrils is to gather up the enemies, but in order to gather the enemies, you have to kill an enemy. And then you have to click the corpse accurately, and sometimes the corpses despawn. Sometimes corpse tendrils pixels them perfectly, and sometimes it doesn't. Necro survivability is not the highest in the game. Well, I don't know. Where are people coming up with the fact that Necros are gods? Because you're running around with a Bone Spear build, hitting everything for 60 million damage? Where exactly is the godly part about Necros? Curses? Decrep? That's the godly part? I think when Bone Spear was brought back down to earth, I think Necros need some help. I think they need some movement speed. I think some of their skills need to be a little bit easier to use. I think that the minions need to be more viable in the end game, especially in terms of survivability. They don't need to run around and do 1 million damage each, but you need to give us a reason to take them. This is the class that I just have a question mark about going forward. Rogues, man. Rogues are good. They're good at everything. Everything that I said that I thought would be bad about a rogue was wrong. I said that their survivability would be really bad. It really isn't. I said that rogues would be like really good for a pro, really good for a really bad for a casual. No, you just run around at the speed of light, dash, shadow step, you twisting blade, you hit it correctly, you play it properly. You don't hit it correctly, you don't play it properly, the output is insane. They're good all the time. They're good from the beginning, they're good all the way to the end. Nightmare Dungeon 100 is actually challenging for them. I think they don't have it as easy as some of the other classes, but it's been done. Uber Lilith, they're incredible. Even if you take away the nonsense with the bursting venoms, which is coming to light, even if you take that away, they've got multiple builds that can kill it. People are discovering that their low builds aren't quite as bad as they thought they were. Maybe they're not at the level of like blades, but they're doing pretty good. The rogues are just good. They feel good. I mean, if they get anything in the patch, I think they're gonna be one of the best classes, if not the best class. With the current state of the game, if I'm racing 1 to 100, starting with nothing on a season start, I think your best chance to reach 100 first is on the road. They're just good at everything. Everything feels good, even their inhumans. Their energy, their resources in the end game. Rogues just work. They feel great. If you have played Rogue, you should play one.
And no, chat, we are not going for Arc Wizard.
Thing by the time I finished my sorcerer, I did sorcerer last because kind of like
or the standard build you would normally see in most of the
the
apps.
sorcerer kit is currently better than the Necros kit. Teleport is very strong.
This is actually going to be a hybrid build. It combines two
all the time.
abilities of each class of ability.
Problem as I thought it would be. I also respec ice sharks during the
So far we got
try that
Thunderbolt and Chain Lightning,
I think probably the
Hydra, and Fire Shield.
magic that's the most behind right now is fire. I don't want to play fire leveling up. Yeah, maybe you take the fireball or the firebolt enchantment slot, sure, but I don't want to play fire leveling up. Firewall is okay, but it's not great. Meteor is okay, but it's not great. Hydra got hurt around. So I think fire sorcerers need a strong revisit here. There's a problem with sorcerers, and Necro kind of has this problem, that Rogue and Druid and Bard absolutely match. And I think the way that you approach solving this problem just goes back to Blizzard's philosophy on Diablo IV. What I need to do, if I want to do damage on my Ice Shard Sorcerer, is I need to teleport in, freeze them, and then do damage to them. That itself is not any kind of a rotation. That's fine. I have no problem deleting everything like that. But it becomes a problem when you start to do things like bosses, when you start to do harder content, and you're fighting elites that don't die in one Frost Nova. And bringing back Frost Nova is very, very difficult. The sorcerers are very, very squishy, and because Frost Nova is required, it almost encourages like this melee playstyle. They're bringing the squishiest class into a melee playstyle in order to deal maximum damage, and it's dangerous. Die all the time. I think Blizzard needs to look at barbarians that are just whirlwinding or hammering or whatever the future is, rending or upheavaling. They're looking at druids that just throw tornadoes or just pulverize. And you're looking at rogues that just twisting blade or path vapor and view, twisting blade. These guys are needing a lot of that setup. Like you throw a meteor, teleport in with a raiment, you stun them, then you freeze them, and then you attack. What's the philosophy here? Are you trying to slow down the gameplay and actually have a rotation? Because three of the classes are just plowing without it. And when you play a class that doesn't have a rotation, has the same output or a better output than the class that does have the rotation, it doesn't feel good. That's how I felt playing a sorcerer. I'm doing way more work, and I'm squishier for no gain. At least if you want to keep it different. If you want, sorcerer is that person. Freeze, do all this, you have to have them burning and rooted. Fine, but I think their output has to go up. And I don't think the only way to apply vulnerable or to apply your freeze is to teleport in and use your crossbow, because that's very dangerous. How else can you do that? Yes, there are some other options currently in the game, but they aren't as good as the options that I listed. So, this is how I felt playing them. I'm not exactly right. I didn't play every build. I don't have 1,000 hours in every class. But I did play them a lot. I tried to play the meta builds that a lot of people are trying, so I can empathize with you on what you might be experiencing. So I think Bards need some damage. Druids just need to recover from the rampaging werebeast nerf, if that's coming. Necros, I just think need some. I would like Corpse Tendrils to work differently, just make it easier. I'd like some buffs for minions. What are we going to play when you nerf Bone Spear? Might be a critical red alert here. Rogues are just good, man. They're just good. I don't think you need any first aid on the rogue, really, anywhere. It's great. Maybe a little bit on the survivability in Nightmare Dungeon 100. That's asking for a lot. Maybe a little bit on the bow builds, but not as bad as you thought. And sorcerers, I feel like I'm pressing a lot of buttons. I'm doing a lot of work. Yes, it can work. If I fired up my sorcerer right now, I pull a Nightmare Dungeon 50, I will annihilate it. And you'll think my sorcerer is a god. But he's not a god compared to some of the other classes. Trust me. I played them all to 100. Anyway, I need to stop talking. On the 18th, we're going to get a mega patch. These are the thoughts that I have going into that.
Just walking with our composure here.
This is what I'm going to say. Okay, this build goes up. What happens specifically to this class? Okay, here are the 32 new superpowers. How does this solve these problems for these different classes? And maybe we'll come up with some brilliant combinations which will give us some godly builds in Season 1. Tomorrow I'm starting solo self-bound and hardcore. I think I'm going to start rogue because rogues are gods right now. And I'm going to get that perspective as well. And let's see how long it takes me to die. Maybe I'll die on the first quill guy. You never know. But those of you that don't know me, I played hardcore in Diablo 3 for years. So I'm no stranger to hardcore. I'm not afraid of it. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really care if I die. So let's get it done and let's see how it goes. Thanks for watching. Many more videos are coming. I'm excited for the 18th.
And yes, chat, I do like the outfit I bought today. It's my newest outfit that I'm wearing.
Enemy battleship sunk. Enemy battleship detected. Enemy submarine spotted. Attention, reporting the target position.
The motherfucker has spoken!
crust from Little Caesars is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Until now, because stuffed pretzel crust is even greater. Oh yeah, stuff that GOAT. Large stuffed pretzel crust from Little Caesars, just $9.99 for a limited time. Pizza.
So Diablo just put a trailer out for the Season of Blood. Everyone's excited for it. I want to give some constructive feedback here because I think Blizzard needs to do a little bit of a better job in selling their own stuff. So let's watch this. Let's observe what we have here.
These are some of the biggest quality of life changes coming in Diablo IV Season of Blood. First off, a handful of dungeons have had huge improvements to their layouts to make the experience flow a lot better and deeper.
So we improved the layout, right? So I was looking at this and I was a little confused, so I drew it into Paint and we drew the optimal routes, and we actually concluded that this one was better, and that's when we noticed when we go to max roll here, back out here, when, let's see, which one is it? It is, excuse me, where is it? Did I close it? Thank you. Sorry, I closed it. When we go to max roll here and we go down, bad. Actually, they got it backwards. The one with the square on the bottom right is the old one, and the new one is here. So I think they have it backwards. This is the old one, the square one. So they got that backwards.
Overall, more enjoyable for the player.
Okay,
Dungeon
that's the
Defenders
first
have
thing.
also had redesigns applied, so take a look at many of those in-game at the season's launch. Next up, our Sanctuary's best method of travel.
Here's the improvements to the horse, but here's my constructive feedback here. With the way that you showed here, it's almost impossible to tell which horse is better.
They'll be getting an increase in their base speed, their
They're both just trot along. It's practically the same thing.
your bonuses, seasonal blessings, things like that are all most equivalent to one another, rather than each adding.
Okay, so the top row, 1,000 times 40% is not 1,040. If you had meant 1,000 times 1.4, that is also not 1,040. What this is it's just 1,000 plus 40. But it gets better. Then they say the one at the bottom is 1,000 times 1.2. Okay, fine. And then times 1.2, and it's supposed to be 1,400. So everything here is wrong. Listen, I'm trying to build some hype for this season, but you're making it real hard. Please, Blizzard, help us. BlizzCon's coming up. If you want to send me the whole slides ahead of time, it could be an NDA just to, double check. God damn it, man. This video is something else. That's my constructive. God damn it, man. That's fucking unbelievable.
So this is going to push you towards those higher levels a lot quicker than before, and overall, you'll just see a lot more progress.
I'm feeling very hyped for the season now.
This season, gravity is shifting in unexpected ways, and with that, floating bases are now officially allowed in the game.
back then, if you wanted to float your base, you had to defy the building.
Hi everyone, it's Rax. Diablo IV has just launched. I've been having a lot of fun blasting the game. I have a level 100 bar, which is essentially max power that a bar can possibly be. And if you did not hear, Blizzard has had a lot of nerfs to a lot of the top builds. They have nerfed the whirlwind bar about 16.5 times. They have nerfed the pulverized druid pretty badly. And they also tried to nerf the Twisted Blades go. So, a lot of people have been asking me, Drax, how exactly does this all shape up into your tier list and what exactly is still the top? So I'd like to take you through and tell you my thoughts on how everything has moved around. Before I talk about the actual nerfs, I want to say got pretty much, in my opinion, pretty much everything right about the game, except for I underestimated one thing very badly, which we'll talk about here in a second. Okay, so in fifth I had Necromancer, and I have to say, Necromancer, that's exactly where they belong. I think Necromancers are just the worst. They are good at leveling, and by the way, let me preface something real quick. I'm on max roll, and I played with a ton of different people. I have a lot of friends that I leveled up with to level 100. I've played with all the classes. I've heard them talking about it for days and days and days. So I would either direct. I've also made Necromancer, I think, in the road today. So not only have I experienced it watching them play firsthand, but I've listened to them on Discord and many others. So Necromancers had exactly turned out exactly as I thought they would. They're very good at leveling. Throwing Spear just crushes the leveling experience. One of the easiest ways to move up. They did buff the skellies for summoning, which got a little bit better. Still don't think it's quite enough. And in the end game, they suffer. Bone Spirit is good, but Bone Spirit is just too slow. This game really rewards speed. And one thing that I think I had wrong in my mind, now that the game is actually out and everybody's blasting, I think I valued single target damage too much, and I didn't value AoE damage enough. So, Necromancers can do a lot of damage, but it requires all these setups. It requires you gotta corpse tendril, pull everything in, and then curse it, and then line everything up, and throw the bone spear, and then it does damage. It's just too slow. So I think Necromancer at the bottom is where they belong, and I think that they need help. Rogue. This is the thing that I got wrong. I really underestimated rogues. Now, I already knew when the game came out that rogues are going to do a lot of damage, but I must admit they do even more damage than I thought they were going to do. The Twisting Blade Rogue, even after the nerf, has got to be one of the best builds in the game. It's just so powerful and everything. And Inner Sight is so good on bosses that it can maintain almost the same damage on bosses that other classes fall off tremendously once you spend your mana a few times, like on the Ice Shard Sorcerer. You spend it, then your left single target, a build that you thought would be godly, single target, actually ends up being garbage if they live longer than 5 seconds. It's the same problem with Whirlwind. The Twisted Blades Rogue might be pound for pound now, after the nerfs, the best build in the game. And another thing about Diablo IV, which I'm going to write a huge document feedback about, is the crowd control is insane in the endgame. The ability to get chain CC is devastating. Rogue is very good at doing its damage and moving away. Moving away is actually tremendous survivability than trying to sit there and face tank it. Even barbarians with a lot of unstoppables and a lot of defense sitting there and tanking it can die if their rallying cry falls down or their rapid soak goes down. Trust me. I play more bar almost anybody. So grotesquely underestimated rogues. But another thing about them is their Twisting Blades thing is really carrying. So again, they nerfed it once. nerf it again, Rogue's going to come back down to planet Earth. But there's absolutely no way they're for. They're at least in the top 3 easily. No questions asked. My assessment of Sorcerer, I think, was very accurate. I think across the board, their builds are balanced. It's a balanced class. The thing is, again, it has a bit of a setup with everything that you're doing, whether you're doing Firewall or you're doing Ice Shards. It's about the same thing. But there is no way, as you get to the end game, that a Sorcerer is as good as a Rogue or a Druid or a Bard. It's just not. Even after the most, Sorcerer is just not there. Sorcerer, I think I got the assessment right, but they have to shift down, and Rogue has to come at least third, if not to second. I mean, maybe if not to first. When Sorcerers get to like 90 plus, it starts to really fall off. Everything before it is a dream. Leveling is a dream with Chain Lightning. Ice Shards is a dream as you start to get going. It's in the very, very end game where it starts to fall off. Some of the Sorcerers, when I was sharing that opinion, were like, no, Rats, my Sorcerer is dominating. And I said, well, why won't you? 64. Later on, it's going to fall off. Druids. Druids are super, super good. Super good. One of the best classes. They nerfed the shit out of Pulverize. Pulverize is still incredible. And the Storm here, really good as well. Really nice build. I haven't seen anybody try Trample Slide yet. I'd like to get some feedback there. I might link to it. I might talk about that. I'll probably go Trample Slide to see how good it is. Everything we thought about Druids was kind of what it took it, but also still really, really nice. They belong toward the top. But without a doubt, by far, by a huge margin, when the game launched, Barbarians were the best. It wasn't even close. Whirlwind Barbarian just shit on everything in the game. Then we got so many colossal nerfs that, it's still really good, but they came way down. They nerfed the living crap out of our best unique Gorse. Now, Gorse was buffed, of course, it needed to be nerfed, right? But, they nerfed it significantly to the point where you would even question taking it in your build. They removed entirely from the game. They removed one of the best stats that Barbarians can roll on gear, shout, cooldown, reduction. They just straight up removed it out of the game. Amulets and helmets. That's a huge thing. Then they took our best legendary power, bold achievements, and then they nerfed it by 50%. Instead of reducing their shout cooldowns by 12, now it reduces it by 6. My Barbarian right now is essentially almost, with little min-maxing, perfectly here. And you really can't get that at all. Like, level, I have a perfect temerity. I have the Rage of Harrogath, unique chest, 3 sets of cooldowns. I have Grandfather and Chakra. I don't think are in the game right now. But those would be upgrades, but I don't have them. I got eye level, like 800 plus everything. Most of all the right stats. I got pretty much the max cooldown on my helmet, max cooldown on my amulet, max move speed on my boots, both rolls of it. I got everything in level 5, everything softened, everything in max jumps. And my Barbarian now, in a big fight, in like a bunch of big fights, can pretty much barely keep up its shots over very minimal time. So the theory crafting here is, as you approach a perfectly geared farm, you can close at least 90 to 95% keep up your shots, which I guess is their mathematical goal with Revolve Force. But it's a lot harder. And when you don't have that, when your Rowling Cry is down, or your Wrath Berserker is down, and you don't have Unstoppable, one CC chain can end your Barbarian, no matter how well it's geared. CC, gone. It's hard to say if it's better than Twisting Blades Rogue. Twisting Blades Rogue is certainly better at single target. Twisting Blades Rogue is more mobile, the barbs are really mobile too. The shouts, perfectly geared barb versus perfectly geared rogue now is close. But again, Barbarians have the same problem. If you nerf Whirlwind, the second option is way behind. They nerfed it again. So barbarians, rogues, and druids are definitely at the top. Sorcerers and necros are definitely in the bottom, at least for the end. And so that's kind of a little rundown of how I view the game after the nerfs. Classes are certainly more balanced. One general comment is,
This is World of Warcraft, but there's no classes because there's archetypes instead. An archetype is a fusion of two or more classes, like this Fire Hero, which is a fusion of Fire Mage and Shaman, or this Master of Shadows, which is a Warlock Rogue. So you pick one, then play the game. As you level, you'll unlock your archetype's spells and abilities and get strong. Adventure level 60 being a total Chad one. At 1460, it's time for you to at max level your character unlocks. You can unlearn spells and talents you don't want. Guess what that implies? It implies you can learn abilities you do want, and you can. Customize your champion with spells and skills from any class in the game. Forge something as unique and interesting as your browser history. Then go dominate dungeons, raids, battlegrounds, the arena, and even custom Vanilla Plus content like new dungeons, new world bosses, new mechanics, and even totally new content like the Arena Story. Challenge Azeroth with your own unique custom hero. Make your mark on the world. Welcome to Ascension Custom Life. Download the game and play free today.
Diablo 3 or Path of Exile, where the classes are insta-deleting the exit, right? And that's probably not good for the game, right?
Why are you helping?
It would be nice if Blizzard could just take a look at the quality of life of some of these builds in the end game. For example, let's just take one example, Whirlwind. Whirlwind just needs a little bit of help on single target. What am I supposed to do on one target? I can't do anything. Melee, Whirlwind for 2 seconds, and then I stand there and do nothing. The same thing with the Ice Shard system. You're supposed to be God. What do you do on a single target? A lot of your damage is reliant on frozen and all these shadows and combos. How do you fight a boss? What do you do? Necros are very slow. We have these huge setups for all their damage. Yes, and all them and grow Bell Spirit with 5 million damage. Literally 5 million damage. That's incredible. But, the effort to get there is going to be exhausting for most players. One of the only builds that is really pretty good at everything is the Twisted Blade. I hope you stick around. Thank you.
Hi everyone, it's Rax. Today I want to make a video that I'm actually surprised, I don't think I've ever made this ever in Diablo, which is shocking. I want to show you how to get the best items in the game that are now called Mythic Uniques. And I've farmed a ton of them so far in the first week or so of Diablo IV Season 5. I'm wearing some, I have a bunch right here, not including all the ones that I salvaged. So this guide is going to, again, like most of my guides, start from the very basics. I'm going to tell you all about how would you get them, why would you be interested in them, then we'll go into the strategies of exactly how would you get as many as fast as possible. Alright, so let's start at the beginning. What the hell are these? Why are these purple when our legendaries are this color and our uniques are this color? So there is a higher tier of items called Mythic Uniques. Now,
good news, we got time with the CEO. It's in 40 minutes at the office.
Co-pilot, based on this rollout plan, what questions should we expect?
They have certainly had a history in Diablo IV, from on the launch not being able to be farmed anywhere, to now being pretty easily farmable if you know what you're doing. And in this patch, they had a massive buff to what they do for you. For example, this is Harlequin Crest, very commonly known in the community as a Shaco because it's what it was called in Diablo II. Gives you massive life, more resource. It solves your armor for you. Gives you 20% cooldown before masterworking. It gives you 20% damage reduction, just straight damage reduction to everything. And yes, plus 4 to all skills. Or you might be hunting for something like this, Material Might. Gives you massive movement speed, massive damage reduction, 10 to maximum resist all elements. That's the maximum all res. So if you go into the stats here, instead of having 70, and you have 80, this is a colossal damage reduction for you to stay alive. It solves all res for you and also makes your attacks shoot a divine barrage. So these are mythic uniques, and they're godly, and you want them. So that's why I'm making this video. Now, where would you get them? Well, you can get them anywhere in the game, but not really. You could technically get them anywhere, but they're very, very rare unless you farm them from the endgame bosses. Now, there are some endgame bosses, and we'll talk about all of them. We'll just look at Furio here for a second. And these little gates with the little skulls on top of them. Okay? And you need to get materials to summon them. You're going to need the specific materials for each boss. And then there is a uber version of each boss, the tormented version. It costs 3 times the materials for 5 times the rewards. And it's those tormented bosses that you want to fight that really farm all of these mythic uniques. It is a lot better to farm up some mats to go farm these bosses and then find people to play with, to share the materials. So if you have 5 Duriel summons, and you team up with 3 other people who also have 5 Duriel summons, you're going to get way more kills, you're going to get way more mythic uniques. Sharing is caring. Unfortunately, the social systems in Diablo IV currently suck. There's no party finder, the clans are dumb, there's no good global chats or anything, there's no auction houses. It's really, really lacking. Hopefully Blizzard improves it. For now, if you want to, you can go to the Maxwell Discord and look for friends there if you don't have any, something like that. So keep that in mind. So, the other thing, if you're going to fight tormented bosses, besides the individual materials that they require, you also need Stygian stones. You need one to summon the tormented version of the boss. And the best place to get that is the new game mode, the Infernal Hordes. So as you get stronger and stronger and stronger, and you go higher and higher in the tiers, when you open the material chest in the end game, which also gives you your masterworking materials, they will drop Stygian stones. Those stones are required to summon the tormented bosses. So, let me show you some of the mats. So to fight Zir, you need, I call it Excusi Blood from...
With Asana, AI teammates can help level up your goals by connecting them to relevant projects, so every team knows their role in the bigger picture. Asana, the #1 AI work management platform. Try for free today at asana.com.
Borat, so this is Excusi Blood. You need Living Steel to fight Grigor, and I guess let me show you where they all are. So Zir is right here, to the right of Kmart, right here. Okay. Then you have the Steel to fight Grigor. And Grigor is just south right here. So you port here and you ride down here. That's where Grigor is. Alright, then you're going to have these beamers, but they actually made it easier in the last patch. You can actually, for Varshan, it used to require a ton of different kinds of materials. Now it only requires parts. So if you get these weird things like these beamers, you can go to the Alchemist, and you can convert it into malignant parts, and then you can go fight Varshan. Barshan is right next to the Tree of Whispers. He's right there. Okay? Then we have Andariel. Andariel is right here. Okay? Just right there. And then we have Duriel, which is the eggs, which is the one that I showed you in the beginning, right here. So, now, we're going to talk about each of these individually and which boss should you farm. So, the first thing to understand is in the patch notes that they just had, and I think I have this pulled up actually. Yep. Let's look right here. All tormented bosses have 5 chances to drop a mythic at 1.5% each, 7.5 total chance, so you can get multiple mythic uniques on a drop. Now, this is significant. The reason why is it used to be that Duriel and Andariel were considered like the upper tier uber bosses. You would farm the bosses below them to get the materials to then go fight them, and they had a better chance to drop you mythic uniques. This is not true anymore. You have an equal chance at all uber bosses to get mythic uniques. So, any of them would potentially be good. So then you say, okay, Rex, but how do I formulate a strategy on which one I should fight? Well, that's very easy to answer. Let's say, for example, right now in Season 5, the super popular build is Lightning Spear Sorcerer. The way that I would determine which boss I want to farm mythic uniques for is by ignoring mythic uniques. And why does that make any sense? I'm farming mythic uniques, now you're telling me to ignore them? Because look at your build and look at the uniques that you need that make the build work. Fractured Winterglass is required to play this build, and Tal Rasha's is a tremendous damage increase. So I would pick the Tormented boss that drops these items, so you can do 2 birds, 1 stone. Remember, all the bosses had an equal chance to drop the mythic uniques, so you're not going to really easily manipulate that other than your ability